In an ideal world, Uncle from Another World would undoubtedly get a second season, and from what I can tell, the anime has done well enough to warrant it receiving a second season. But there were enough problems behind the scenes that made Uncle from Another World Season 2 anything but certain. It's become surprisingly commonplace nowadays to see a singular core season of an anime get split up or delayed. It happened with the Nier Automata anime, which I'm really looking forward to eventually watching, and it happens with the anime Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. I believe that in all three cases, COVID was what the studios held up to blame as the culprit, and that could be true for both Nier and Kubo, but I doubt it is the full truth for Uncle from Another World. Uncle from Another World had one of the most catastrophic release schedules I've ever seen in anime. Trying to figure out when the next episode of Uncle from Another World would release was like watching a guy fall down a very long staircase and trying to work out which of the steps he was actually going to hit. Unsurprisingly, this shoddy release schedule has led to an increased fear that we will never get to see our beloved Uncle again. This being due to the belief that the constant delays cause more people to drop the anime than if Uncle had released normally. And if this is the reason why Uncle from Another World never returns, then I'd be very sad because Uncle from Another World was a really good anime. I wouldn't say it's a must-watch, but it is really enjoyable, and a unique anime in a genre that is stuffed to the brim with copycats. This show is simultaneously a reverse isekai and an isekai at the same time, as Uncle has awoken from the coma that Truck-kun has put him in, and is ready to regale his stories of his time in isekai land to his nephew and his nephew's not currently, but definitely will be, baby mama. I'm crossing my fingers that we will get a second season, and there's enough here to suggest that we will get one, but this is anime, and anime hates doing second seasons. Now, one of the reasons why I think the anime has a good chance of returning is that the cast for Uncle from Another World is stacked, and would have certainly drawn the attention of a few extra viewers. Firstly, Uncle is voiced by Dio himself, Takahito Koyasu. Takahito is held up as one of the best Japanese voice actors in the industry by Western viewers, primarily for his performance as Dio in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which was beyond perfect. He's also a great fit for Uncle too, who is a character that is almost on the complete opposite end of the spectrum to Dio. Yes, Uncle can sometimes talk quite crazy and elicit the same insanity as Takahito's other characters, but overall Uncle provides a much calmer performance. Uncle, or Oji-san as he is called in the anime, I obviously watched the sub for this one, is very much a loser. His life before being isekai was very uneventful, being predominantly spent on video games for the sake of variety, and his life in the other world is arguably even worse, at least from a first glance, and Uncle's dense perspective. Uncle is not the most attractive of men, and he is isekai to a fantasy world where everyone is beautiful, and anything that is ugly is a monster. So despite doing everything in his power to be kind to those around him, Uncle is hunted down by the humans of the land as they believe that he is an orc. Fortunately, Uncle is an overpowered isekai protagonist, so he can deal with it and set the record straight, but overall people generally don't treat him the best, and this combined with years of doing nothing but playing video games has led to Uncle not understanding people, which leads to Uncle doing some very surprising things, such as wiping people's memories even though those people considered him a friend. Uncle is a very unique character and one that is hard to predict, as we all know how mind-numbingly dense he is, yet we all hold out hope that he'll eventually realise what's actually happening and realise how those around him actually feel. I hope we ourselves end up realising it's futile because we're watching Uncle's past events and he is no different in the present. There's also the Tsundere Elf, who is arguably the greatest female character design in the history of anime. She's somehow able to effectively toe the line between being both hot and cute, and she's a character that you end up rooting for as you realise that she's actually trying to get through to Uncle and reveal her feelings to him. It's just that it's in a very Tsundere way. It helps that she's voiced by Haruka Tomatsu, who is another big draw for the anime. For those who aren't familiar with Haruka, she's the voice for Asuna from Sword Art Online, Zero Two from Darling in the Franxx, and Hori from Horimiya. So basically she always voices the best girl. And that's no different in this anime. I like that the Tsundere Elf takes advantage of the Tsundere archetype for humour, but also tries to progress it by having a character that actually recognises their feelings. It makes her feel a little more realistic and a lot more likeable, because some people in real life do act quite negatively to the people they are crushing on. I don't know why, but the point is Tsundere Elf looks great and is great as well. She gives the show some very funny moments when she's paired with Uncle, as well as some wholesome ones too. I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't invested in their relationship. Jun Fukuyama is in this too. He plays the nephew, he's voiced dozens of memorable anime characters like Lelouch, Koro Sensei and Finral. Takafumi is the show's straight man and the insert for the audience. It is through his eyes that we discover Uncle's exploits, and he acts as a counterbalance to Uncle's more eccentric personality traits. However, Takafumi is his uncle's nephew, and we get to see some of his quirks too. They're predominantly to do with Fujimiya, who is voiced by Mikako Komatsu, who's the voice of Rebecca in Eden Zero, and Maki in Jujutsu Kaisen. Fujimiya has the hearts for Takafumi, and believes them growing up together will give her an advantage in claiming his heart, a belief that shatters upon seeing her own memories when she discovers that she was not the cute kid at school, but instead the horrific, monstrous bully. The addition of her character shows the similarities and differences between Uncle and Takafumi, as both are presented as dense. In the same way that Uncle was oblivious to Alf's feelings, so too is Takafumi to Fujimiya's. However, when Takafumi begins to see Fujimiya in a new light, he becomes very overprotective and jealous. Time will hopefully tell if we get to see Uncle act in a similar way towards Alf, when he inevitably realises that she did in fact like him. There's also Mabel and Alicia to round out the main cast. They're played by Aoi Yuki and Aki Tayasaki, respectively. Neither character left the same impression on me as the other four, but they are great additions to the cast. In Mabel's case, it's because she's such a waste of space that she gave me awkward for Konosuba vibes. Mabel is so utterly useless that it makes her really funny, but it also means that there currently isn't much else to her. Not a problem for the first season, just the reason why she didn't excite me as much as Uncle or Alf. And Alicia unfortunately didn't get enough screen time in the first season. Hopefully if we get a second season then we'll get more of Alicia, because it seems like she'll be a great foil for Alf, as Alicia seems just as drawn to the orc face as Alf was. Surprisingly, Uncle from Another World had pretty good animation. It did suffer from anime CGI, but it wasn't the worst, and sometimes it actually made a scene funnier, but overall the animation was really good, and they did an excellent job in capturing Uncle's expressions in all its horrific glory. However, the most important aspect of Uncle from Another World is its humour. So is Uncle from Another World a good comedy? And the answer depends on your own taste, but personally, I would say that it is. Shocker, the guy who wants a second season of a comedy show found the first season funny. Admittedly, Uncle from Another World is not a gutbuster. It did make me laugh out loud at times, but usually the jokes would just make me smile or make me think to myself, that wasn't a bad joke. Most anime comedies fall flat with me, but Uncle from Another World didn't. I definitely wouldn't put it on the same level as Gintama, but it is a really funny show, and even when it isn't funny, it is able to keep you engaged through the show's relationships, Uncle's and Alf's, and Takafumi's and Fujimiya's. This show has great characters, great humour, and phenomenal character designs. I really do just love the art design and the characters in this show. I would be very sad if we never get to see Uncle and the gang again, but I'm holding out hope, because this anime was really good, and if Rent-A-Girlfriend can keep getting renewed, then so can this.